Hello, I'm Teresa Rada, an associate with Apt Associates in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I will be presenting the coding workshop for Section GG, Functional Abilities and Goals. As with all of our presentations today, there is a recorded webinar on the same topic that we encourage you to review for additional information. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to focus on two new data elements in Section GG. Those would be GG01301 Personal Hygiene and GG01301 Tub Shower Transfer. I will be presenting practice scenarios for these two new data elements to facilitate understanding of coding for admission performance, discharge performance, OBRA Interim Performance, and OBRA assessment periods. I will start with GG013, so try to have your item sets available so you can follow along. Here is a snapshot of the data element from the Nursing Comprehensive Item Set. This slide reviews the coding instructions for all GG data elements. Just a reminder that Code 4 has been revised. Instructions now state to use Code 4 if the resident requires only verbal cueing to complete the activity. Here are some additional coding instructions. I call your attention to the revised Code 1 instructions. Here, you will use Code 1 if two helpers are required for safe completion of an activity, even if the second helper is providing supervision or standby assistance or managing the equipment to allow the activity to be completed. Here is a refresher on the activity not attempted codes. Code 7 is for resident refusal. Code 9 is not applicable. Code 10 is used if the activity was not attempted due to environmental limitations. And Code 88 is used if the activity was not attempted due to a medical condition or safety concerns. So our first item is GG01301 Personal Hygiene. Personal hygiene involves the ability to maintain personal hygiene, including combing the hair, shaving, applying makeup, and washing and drying face and hands. It excludes baths, showers, and oral hygiene. Here is our first practice scenario. A resident is admitted to the facility for a prospective payment system or PPS stay. The resident indicates to the certified nursing assistant, CNA, that in the hospital they had difficulty with fatigue and weakness and needed help with some aspects of personal hygiene. The assessor identified that based on the resident's past independence at home with these tasks prior to hospitalization and the resident's motivation, they could achieve their prior level of function by discharge. While in the bathroom, the resident retrieved a face cloth from the towel rack and removed their personal hygiene items, comb, razor, and shaving cream from their toiletry bag. The resident was able to wash and dry their face and hands, but complained of arm fatigue after combing their hair. The resident started to shave, but required verbal cueing and steadying assistance of the resident's arm due to upper arm weakness. After completing these personal hygiene tasks, the CNA returned the resident's personal care items to the toiletry bag and cleaned out the sink. The resident requires this level of assistance each day for the next 3 days. So how would you code GG01301 Admission Performance for the combined PPS OBRA Admission Assessment? Okay, so the correct answer is 04, supervision or touching assistance. Let's review the rationale for that answer. So column 1, admission performance. On admission and for the following 3 days, the resident required verbal cueing and steadying assistance with personal hygiene and assistance returning personal care items in their toiletry bag. Please note that column 2, discharge goal, is used to collect data for the SNF QRP application of % of long-term care hospital patients with an admission and discharge functional assessment and a care plan that addresses function quality measure. GG013I personal hygiene is not used in the calculation of this measure. Therefore, the assessor will only code the admission performance for GG013I on this combined PPS OBRA admission assessment. We're going to continue this scenario and take a look at discharge. With therapy, the resident progressed throughout the stay in their ability to complete all personal hygiene tasks without any fatigue or arm weakness. At discharge, the resident no longer required any assistance or supervision with personal hygiene, meeting their discharge goal. So how would you code GG013I discharge performance for this resident? And those of you who marked 06 are correct. 06, independent, is the correct answer. Let's take a look at the rationale. So column 3, discharge performance. On discharge, the resident was fully independent and required no assistance with their personal hygiene. Here is a snapshot of the self-care item GG013 OBRA interim assessment. And note that this is a 3-day observation period. These data elements were added to accommodate this column duly being used for IPA and OBRA assessments when A0310A equals 2 to 6 and A0310B equals 99. The OBRA interim payment assessment, IPA, A0310B equals 8, is an optional assessment that may be completed by providers in order to report a change in the resident's patient-driven payment model, or PDPM classification. OBRA assessments are required for residents in Medicare certified, Medicaid certified, or duly certified nursing homes and are outlined in Chapter 2 of the RAI manual. For Section GG on the IPA or an OBRA assessment, providers will use the same 6-point scale and activity not attempted codes to assess the resident's usual functional performance during the 3-day assessment period. For section A equals 2 to 6, the assessment period is the last 3 days. In other words, the ARD plus 2 previous calendar days. Let's take a look at a scenario. A nurse is in the process of completing a resident's annual assessment. Below is a conversation between a CNA and the nurse regarding the resident's ability to complete personal hygiene tasks during the observation period. The nurse asks, "Can you please describe how the resident washes and dries their face and hands, applies makeup, and grooms their hair in the morning?" And the CNA responds, "They can wash up once I set up a basin and the towels, but I usually have to make sure their face is dry. I also always have to brush their hair and apply makeup each day. Although they do attempt to do this, it is never complete. I usually put everything away when we're done." So how would you code GG013I for an OBRA interim performance on the annual assessment? Okay, so the correct answer is 02, substantial or maximal assistance. And let's take a look at the reason for that. So in column 5, the OBRA interim performance, during the assessment period of the annual assessment, the CNA reports that the resident is unable to complete their personal hygiene. The CNA provides setup and assists with drying their face, brushing their hair, and applying makeup each day. The CNA also cleans up when these tasks are completed. The CNA therefore provides more than half the effort to complete the personal hygiene tasks. Now we'll move on to GG01301, the mobility items. Here's a snapshot. And we'll take a look at the new item, GG01301 which is tub shower transfer. So GG01301 is completed when A0310A equals 01 to 6, or A0310F equals 10 or 11. If the resident does not get into or out of the tub or shower during the observation period, you would use one of the activity not attempted codes, either 7, 9, 10, or 88. Tub shower transfers involve the ability to get into and out of the tub or shower. Do not include washing, rinsing, drying, or any other bathing activities in this item. So let's take a look at an admission scenario. On the first day of the admission assessment period, a resident required assistance with a tub transfer. One CNA provided steadying assistance as the resident slowly sat on the side of the tub bench. Once seated, the resident was able to lift one leg at a time into the tub and position themselves in the center of the bench. After bathing was complete, the resident was able to lift both legs out of the tub, and the CNA provided steadying assistance as the resident stood up. On day 3 of the assessment period, the CNA provided contact guard assistance for the resident as they sat on the tub bench and positioned themselves. The resident was able to swing both legs into and out of the tub and was provided with contact guard assistance to stand up. No other tub or shower transfers occurred during the observation period. So how would you code GG01301 on admission? Okay, so if you marked 04, you would be correct. That's supervision or touching assistance. And let's examine the rationale. So column 1, the admission performance. The resident participated in 4 tub transfers, 2 transfers into the tub and 2 transfers out of the tub during the observation period. They required the CNA to provide steadying assistance to stand up and sit on the tub bench for the first 2 transfers and contact guard for the second 2 transfers. The resident was able to swing both legs into and out of the tub for all 4 transfers. And again, just a reminder, column 2 discharge goal is used to collect data for the SNF QRP application of percent of long-term care hospital patients with an admission and discharge functional assessment and a care plan that addresses function quality measure. GG01301 tub shower transfer is not used in the calculation of this measure. Therefore, the assessor will only code the admission performance for GG01301 tub shower transfer on the admission assessment. Now we'll take a look at the patient or the resident at discharge. A month after the resident was admitted, the resident's family notified the facility that they are moving out of state and have found another facility for the resident near them so that they could continue to visit frequently. 3 days before discharge, the CNA reported to the discharging nurse that the resident was able to independently sit on the side of the tub bench and swing both legs into and out of the tub and position themselves in the center of the bench. The CNA assisted by setting up the tub bench and bath supplies. After bathing was complete, the resident was able to lift both legs out of the tub, put on a robe, and leave the bathroom. The CNA cleaned up the bath area and removed the tub bench. No other tub or shower transfers occurred during the observation period. So how would you code GG01301 at discharge? I'll give you some time. Great. 81% of you. 05 is the correct answer. Code 05 is setup or cleanup assistance. So let's take a look at the rationale. So column 3, discharge performance. The resident participated in 1 tub transfer during the discharge observation period. The resident was able to safely transfer onto the tub bench and position themselves for the shower. Setup and cleanup assistance was required for the tub bench. The provision of bathing supplies and the ability of the resident to bathe themselves is not considered in the coding of this data element. However, setup and cleanup of the tub bench is considered in the coding of this data element. Therefore, the resident's usual performance code is coded as 05 setup or cleanup assistance. Here is a snapshot of the OBRA interim. And just a reminder, this is a 3-day observation period, which is the assessment period, the ARD, plus the 2 previous calendar days. So let's take a look at another scenario. During the last 3 days of the observation period for a resident's quarterly assessment, the resident was scheduled for a shower. The assessing nurse asked the resident's primary CNA if they can describe how the resident usually transfers in and out of the shower. And the CNA responds, "The resident can walk to the shower room using their walker, but I have to be nearby because sometimes they walk too fast and I have to remind them to slow down. Once there, they can disrobe and enter the shower. I place the face cloth and soap on the shelf in the shower for them to transfer into the shower. They use their walker. The resident then sits on the shower bench and is able to wash their body. Once they finish, they are able to stand up using their walker, put a towel on, and walk out of the shower. They pull the cord for me to come back to help them dry off, put their robe back on, and walk back to their room." So how, in this particular case, would you code GG01301 for the OBRA interim performance? So those of you who picked 06 would be correct. And let's take a look at the reason why. So for OBRA interim, the resident participated in 1 shower transfer during the quarterly assessment observation period. The resident safely transfers into and out of the shower using an assistive device, a walker. And since the resident does not require any assistance transferring into and out of the shower, the resident's usual performance is coded as 06 or independent. The CNA's assistance with ambulating to and from the shower room and providing bath supplies is not considered when coding this data element. The fact that the resident can bathe themselves also is not considered in the coding of this data element. Tub shower transfer only includes the ability to get in and out of the tub or shower. So here are the key insights. There are 2 new data elements added to section GG, and those are GG013I, personal hygiene, and GG01301 tub shower transfer. Personal hygiene involves the ability to maintain personal hygiene, which includes combing the hair, shaving, applying makeup, and washing and drying the face and hands. It excludes baths, showers, or oral hygiene. For tub shower transfers, those only involve the ability to get into and out of the tub or shower. This element does not include washing, rinsing, drying, or any other bathing activities. And the OBRA interim performance column was revised to include coding for OBRA assessments and is now labeled 5 OBRA interim performance. The discharge goal column was created for the SNF QRP measure application of % of LTCH patients with an admission and discharge functional assessment and a care plan that addresses function, which requires the SNF to identify at least 1 discharge goal. GG013I, personal hygiene, and GG01301 tub shower transfer are not used in the calculation of this measure. Therefore, a discharge goal for these two data elements is not collected in column 2 on any assessment.
Thank you, Teresa. We have several questions for you. And the first is, should the resident's ability to take a partial bath at the sink, for example, washing underarms, trunk, and perineal area, be coded as part of personal hygiene?
Thanks, Lisa. Personal hygiene involves the ability to maintain personal hygiene, which includes combing the hair, shaving, applying makeup, and washing and drying the face and hands. It excludes baths, showers, and oral hygiene.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, for GG01301 FF tub shower transfers, if a resident was transported to the shower on a shower chair or walked to the shower and then sat on a shower chair, would this be considered in the coding of this item?
Tub and shower transfers involve the ability to get into and out of the tub or shower. It does not include how the resident gets to the shower or tub room. Therefore, code only based on how the resident gets into and out of the tub or shower.
Okay, great. And then our last question, when coding GG01301 and GG01301, if the ARD was set for day 6, would we only use days 1 through 6 and not include day 7, as it would extend into the pre-admission period?
Per the coding conventions listed in the Chapter 3 introduction, with the exception of certain items, for example, some items in sections J, K, and O, the look-back period does not extend into the pre-admission period unless the item instructions state otherwise. In the case of re-entry, the look-back period does not extend into time prior to the re-entry unless instructions state otherwise.